Ever had a plastic model crack? Big old gap you couldn't fix? Do you just need a little extra reinforcement? Enter Sprue Goo, every hobbyist's secret weapon, and today I'm going to show you how to make it. Why do you need the Sprue Goo? Stronger than super glue, chemically fuses the plastic together instead of just sticking it together like regular glue would. It's also perfect for gap filling, blends in naturally because it's literally made out of the same parts and same plastic as your models most of the time. It's completely customizable. You can adjust the thickness by adding more cement or adding more sprue. That's all you need. It's cheap and easy because you're the cement that you're already using to glue your models together, and to make the Sprue Goo, you're just using the leftover sprue that you'd otherwise be throwing away most likely anyway. All right, to get into how we're gonna make it, let's get down to the paint can. All right, I recommend Tamiya Extra Thin for this. All you need is leftover sprue. I've cut away what I'm still using off of this sprue, but everything else is already used. And all we need is, however you're most likely cutting your sprues already. Let me just cut off a chunk of this one. And all you need to do is make really tiny pieces, about as big as you see right here. If I show you a comparison to my pinky nail, it's pretty tiny. It's probably smaller than a Space Marine's head, if not half that size. So you're just gonna take your sprue cutters and make a bunch of cuts. I recommend going really small. Otherwise, it takes a lot longer for it to melt, especially when you're gonna be putting a lot of this into a container here. So smaller the better. What I do, as you can see, is line it up, get a nice little bite, and cover it with my fingers, not in the blade, obviously, just catching it instead of it flying away. It's in my fingers here. Now, you preferably want to make this out of the same plastic as your filling. So this is a Warhammer sprue, but I actually will use the same one for even D&D and stuff like that. And that's actually the example I'm going to be showing today. We have a small gap to fill and some wings of dragon. We're going to fill this ugly gap here, so when we go to paint it, it's not that noticeable. And this is probably not quite good enough to get started yet. You actually need quite a bit of this, so we'll speed it up here 1 second. All right, now we got a bunch of sprue here now. This may or may not actually be enough. It's all in the consistency that you want. This is a Sprue Goo that I already have, and I'm just going to show you an example. What we have right now is actually too thin because I added my old one, regular cement, to my that I was really low on to get this back up. And it's really runny, as you can see right here. And that's too runny for what we want to do. So what we're gonna do is, obviously we're not starting off from a normal base like you would if it was just brand new. And what you wanna do is just add in a bunch of sprue right in there with no problems. And this is what's great about this stuff, is you can adjust it as you see fit. If it's too thick, you add more regular clean cement into it. And if it's not thick enough, you just add more sprue. Give it a good shake, and you can always see where it will settle. One thing that's always really good is give it a good shake before you use it too, because it will settle to the bottom. So you usually want to let this sit overnight or even for a few hours before you actually use it. But giving it a good shake will actually help out. Still kind of hear it rattling around a little bit, but I don't really see any of the main pieces floating around in there anymore, which is probably good. Let's see if it changed our consistency at all. Yet, that's a little bit better. It definitely needs to sit overnight, but we're gonna go ahead and use it for what we're trying to do today. So I have this large gap here in between the wings and the body of this, I do believe this is a Pathfinder Silver Dragon that I've had unpainted forever, what it feels like. And we're just gonna bloop right in there. Hey, that's not too terrible. I was expecting it to run a little bit more. It's pooling, which isn't what we want. Because of that, it's actually running into the cracks a little bit deeper, which is probably a good thing. But we also don't want it to ruin any detail. Just gonna trace it into the cracks here. So usually, depending on how much of this you're using at one go, I find it definitely more on Warhammer models that sometimes you have to let it sit for a little bit longer than you're used to. obviously with super glue or something like that. This is great for repairs, major gap filling. I've even used it on this right here as I fill in this battery pack for this las gun. I put in a piece of sprue and then put in a bunch of this. It was a lot thicker at that time, and then that's a magnet when it was still wet, and it will still have this shiny look to it even when it's fully cured. So you just gotta know what you're working with. So this is definitely something you are using the day before you plan on really painting or priming whatever you're using. If you get it the right consistency, you're not gonna have to worry about sanding or anything like that. And I think this is actually pretty good. It's gonna be even better when all those pieces melt that we already did today. I'm trying to see if it's got any other gaps, and it's looking pretty good. Oh, right here, deep in there. There we go. Again, we don't want it to get anywhere else really. Fill in any additional space. I really like places I really like using these. Obviously large gaps, repairs like I already said, but I tend to, anytime I'm doing any kind of Space Marine or anything like that, my neck joint, that pocket where the head is at, is usually really perfect for this. So again, to let it dry, you're going to use a full 24 hours. If it's super thick, what this is probably going to look like tomorrow is you can actually use it for almost sculpting. You can get it that thick, and then it sands super smooth. Let's see if I have an example on my desk here. I do. I use it for gap filling, and then you can sand it. You can see that there's still a little bit of sprue goo on top of this magnet that I was trying to cover. This one got fully covered, and you can see that shine that we were just talking about. And same thing, you can see that one magnet is pushed in a little bit more on the other side. You can see it. It probably needs a little bit more and a little bit more sanding love, but it's really smooth, and I love how this stuff works and comes out. Again, common mistakes and how to avoid them. If you find that it's too runny, add more sprue and let it sit longer. If it's too thick, add more regular cement. If you find that the drying is too slow, try smaller applications. You probably put it on too thick, or you added additional layers onto it too fast. If the application is messy, you can use a push brush, a sculpting tool instead. So this is like a silicone brush. I use this a lot to push it into the cracks, especially when it's the thicker stuff. All right, so my final thoughts on some beautiful sprue goo is that it's an absolute game changer for model building, especially if you're a kit basher like I am. I absolutely love kit bashing, so this stuff will save your life when it comes to filling in gaps and making your builds more durable. If you have your own sprue goo tips and tricks, please leave them down in the comments below. I would love to learn more what you do. If this video helped you at all, please hit that like button and definitely subscribe. Appreciate any comments down below with any hobby hacks that you have. And as always, every stroke of the brush and swing of the blade adds character to your miniature. YouTube will think that you will like this video right here. And if you'd like to subscribe, click this button right here.